Open heart, open mind. Welcome to the Sattva channel, the official online platform of the Sattva project. So today is Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all of you out there. And first of all, on behalf of the Sattva project, I would like to express our thankfulness to our StreamYard sponsor, Dream Home, and also our gratitude to our media partners, Durian ASEAN and Durian FM. And not to forget also the important man behind the scene, our broadcast director, Brother Chong. Brother Chong, would you like to come out and say hi to everyone?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Hope you find our session today very useful. And please do share and like so that more people can benefit from our session today. And those watching in future on YouTube, please do subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Chong. So we are going to have a very meaningful and beneficial meditation session today, guided by Myong and Sunim. So let me give a very brief introduction about Myong and Sunim. So today's guided Zen meditation entitled "Don't Check, Just Do It," conducted by Myong and Sunim. So this is a Zen guided meditation, a series, one of the a part of the series of a meditation for world peace and global healing. So we sit quietly at home, spreading love and kindness all around the globe. So Myung Sunim is a Zen monk, belong to Kuan Yin School of Zen. Myung Sunim, usually called Sunim, was born to a Chinese family in Malaysia in 1959. He received his education in the UK, culminating with an MBA and work in finance. Myung Sunim began his meditation practice in 1992 after meeting his teacher Zen Master Songsan in Hong Kong. He was ordained as a monk in 1997 and spent the next 16 years in Korea doing intensive meditation retreats. He received Inca the authorization to teach Koans and lead retreats from two Zen masters in 2015. Suni has over 30,000 hours of meditation experience, teaches mindfulness and Zen in Penang, Malaysia, and internationally. His teaching approach combines the wisdom of the ancient teachers with the science of meditation to arrive at ways of practice that are well suited to our contemporary lifestyle. So today is meditation. Today is a Mother's Day. So this is a little gift from the Sadhva project to all of you. May all sentient beings will be well and happy. So let me present to you. Don't check, just do it. Zen guided meditation by Myong Sunim. So today we are going to start with the short talk, and then we are going to sit together and meditate together, and end it with some Q&A if there's any, and conclude it with a dedication prayer guided by Myong Sunim. Myong Sunim.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for the very nice introduction, Cheryl.
Thank you.
So, for all of mothers out there, we wish you a very happy Mother's Day. So, it is a very special day for mothers, but I think every single day is a special day for mothers. And mothers are very, very important for us because, well, without them, we wouldn't be here. I mean, fathers, guys, but their job to last like 5-10 minutes and that's it. But mothers have to carry us in their bodies, in their womb for 9 months. And they have to nurture us, nourish us, and then through a lot of pain, bring us into this world. So there is a lot of kindness, compassion, and empathy associated with this whole process. And that's what mothers can teach us about kindness, compassion, and also empathy with others and generosity. So we usually think of human mothers, but anything that nourishes us and nurtures us is also like a mother to us. So this we call Mother Earth and Mother Nature, because we also are nourished. Without nature, we wouldn't be here, would be dead. And without an ability to live on this planet, which gives us so much, we'd also be dead. So yeah, So every day really is a Mother's Day, not just one day where you think of your mother. Think of your mother every day. So tonight we're going to talk about just do it and not checking. So this is kind of like a catchphrase that my teacher Zen Master Song San used to use. And the reason why he used this is because when he went, he's Korean. When he went to America, he didn't really speak much English. Then he started to learn and be taught, but he didn't pick up everything. He just picked up certain important phrases, enough for him to get by. Just like if you went to Korea, it's hard actually to learn the whole Korean language and everything. Taking many years, but you can pick up enough to get by, and that's what he did. So then he used very simple phrases for teaching words like just do it, don't check, only don't know, only go straight, don't know. So that gave the core of what he was trying to teach his American students at that time. So this phrase, don't check, or just do it and just do it, is are one of the phrases that he uses. So when most people hear just do it, because such a simple phrase, they just think, okay, I'll just go ahead and just do it. So many years ago, a couple of our students were helping to renovate a small apartment in New York City to turn into a Zen center. So they were volunteering because, as you know, things are very expensive, and actually, like labor is very expensive in America. So and Zen centers don't have much money, so they were putting in their work for free, and so they were knocking down some of the walls. These walls are just plasterboard to make a bigger space for the meditation room. So one of my Dharma brothers, he was kneeling down, knocking something. Then on the other side of this wall, suddenly this huge sledgehammer came flying through, and it just missed his head. This other guy, very strong guy on the other side of the wall, was knocking down that wall, and he just was hammering with all his might. And if he was just like that much closer, he would have knocked my Dharma brother unconscious, maybe causing a lot of injury. He had to go to hospital. So then my Dharma brother shouted, "Hey, watch out!" Then the other guy just shouted back at him, "Just do it!" And he kept hammering, So my Dharma brother actually had to get out of the way because he just didn't care. So he just hammered his wall down. So later, my teacher heard about this, and he said, "Yes, because they said to him, you teach, just do it. This guy was just doing it." He said, "Yeah, just do it, but also some clear thinking, some clear cognition is also necessary. It's not just blindly simply do it." So many people misunderstand this point when they hear. They just go, yeah, just do. I just do whatever I want. So a very common question that my teacher gets, or used to get, is somebody will say, "Okay, you teach, just do it." So I go and rob a bank or rob somebody, hold them up. That's just doing it, right? Then that's correct. I'm just doing it. No problem. Then, he says, no, that's not correct. You don't understand. Just do it. Just do it has no I. has no ego inside. It's not for me. It's not about you or your ego when you just do it. You're responding to whatever situation appears to you in the moment. And you respond to it with wisdom, kindness, and compassion. And that's like our aspiration, our direction. And then you just do whatever is necessary to do, you do it. It's not about me. So I don't know if any of you enjoy superhero, superhero movies. I kind of find them quite fun, entertainment. But some superhero movies are pretty well written, have some good good teaching inside. So one of these superhero movies was Doctor Strange. I don't know if any of you saw it before. Came out like maybe 6-7 years ago, I don't know, had this famous actor, Benedict Cumberbatch, playing Doctor Strange. And anyway, it's like action movie, but has some good dialogue, plot, and some interesting. It's like kind of Zen. It has some Zen-like things in it too. But there was one scene in it which is, I think, the best scene in the movie, and it's not an action scene. In this movie there's one very, very wise and powerful person called the Ancient One, and she's a woman played by Tilda Swinton. It's really, Oscar-winning actress. And in this scene, it's just after she's been stabbed by her enemy, and then she's lying on the operating table, and she's dying. Basically, she's not going to survive because this was some kind of magical poison which would kill her. So she goes into what they call the astral body, okay, which is like not a physical body, but some body that can float around. And he also follows in his astral body, and they go and they float through they can go through walls, of course, and then they stand at a balcony very high up looking down on the scene. And what she's done, she's frozen time, or made time go very slowly. So there's this helicopter in front of them that's just frozen, just hanging, the blades not moved, but very slow. You can see some lightning just slowly flashing. So she's basically slowed down time to make it very slow. Then he sort of says, what are you doing? You have to get back to your body. You're dying. Then she says, well, she's hundreds of years old. And then she says, I've done many things to try to save this planet and everything. But every time I try to look in the future, I could never see past this point. So she realizes she's going to die. Then she tells him, that he has a great potential. She sees in him some really, really great potential to be able to do some really good things and to be able to help this world. But he also has a great fear of failure, and also is arrogant. So that, she said, prevents him from learning the greatest lesson of all. And he's like stunned because, before he got into accident, all that, he's a, brilliant surgeon. So what's the greatest lesson of all? And she says, it's not about you. That's it. That for me was the biggest scene in the movie, that he was told everything that was happening was not about him. But for us, in our kind of world that we live in, we think that everything is about us. Everything that happens to us is about us. And why is it like that? You know, when good things happen to us, we never question it. We think, oh yeah, I deserve it, right? But when there are things that we don't like or which we find unpleasant and something happens to us, we think, why is that happening to me? Why doesn't it happen to anybody else? You know, why are they so lucky? Why is it happening to me? But the point is, it's not about you. So that is part of our problem, our attachment, as the Buddha called it, the attachment to our idea of self. That we think that, you know, things are basically to do with us. It's for us. This whole world is meant to serve us. That's why we have so many problems right now. So we are self-centered a lot of the time. Sometimes we are very other-centered. That means we're focused on others and helping others too. But as we practice more meditation, practice more mindfulness, then it helps us, especially loving kindness meditation, helps us to develop our sense of human connection. And not just human connection, but connection to everything. And then we become more other-centered, that we're not always thinking about ourselves so much of the time. So the Dalai Lama calls it this altruism. You know, it's not a new word, but it's how we behave. If we are not altruistic in at least some aspects of, we would never survive as a human race. We would never help each other. We'd always be fighting each other all the time. So it's not about us. So this just do it is not about you or me just doing it. It's actually responding to whatever situation and doing it in the most helpful and beneficial way. So that's one part. Then don't check. So usually my Zen Master Song Sang would kind of, don't check, put it all down. So he would have these two phrases that would often go together. Don't check and put it all down. And most American people didn't like that because it sounded very kind of a bit aggressive. So they kind of like, especially to put it all down, but they said, why do you say, let it go, you know? Then he said, yeah, let it go, put it all down. So he was very clear about how he wanted to express his teaching. But don't check is very, very simple. What we do most of the time is we're always examining ourselves. How do we feel? When I sit in meditation, what is it like? Does it feel the way I expect it to feel? Or am I getting this ache in my back? Maybe that shouldn't be happening. You know, we're always like monitoring our situation so that we can have this, come close to this idea of how we should feel. But actually, it's not about that. You know, your life is also not about that. There's nothing written in any book that says you should always feel happy or good all the time. You look at all the religious texts, it doesn't say that. It also doesn't say that you should feel unhappy or suffering all the time. You know, the Buddha said there is suffering in this world. And that's I think, better translation rather than saying life is suffering. Because for some people, life is not always suffering. You know, it can be in a very good situation. But anyway, don't check means not to judge yourself or others. And not to judge ourselves means don't judge what you're thinking, because those are just mental events which come into your mind and go. Don't judge your emotions, because again, those will rise and fade if you pay attention to them. So really don't judge. If you don't judge anything, and also not to have any expectations for what your meditation should be or should not be like, then you really get to experience what your meditation is. Okay? You don't have to worry about what the books say. You have to experience it yourself. The Buddha also said that, just because I said it or some person with authority says it, don't believe that. You have to use your own experience. And if you find it's true and it's helpful, then use it. Follow it. If you find it's not helpful and not useful or not true, then don't follow it. That's all. So that is what meditation really is about. It's about your own experience, about what, about the practice of meditation, your experience of the practice. So we're not aware of us. We're not aware of. I'm just reading a message here. I'm not very professional, so I don't really. It says, if you can see my message, please do adjust your camera a little to push your image higher. So I don't know. Okay, we'll see. Okay, let me do this before I continue. Is that what he means? Okay. So when we're aware of our thoughts and opinions, then we are more aware of the moments when we are judging ourselves, and then whether it's useful or not. It's not that judging is not useful. Sometimes you do have to check, like, if you're a policeman and you've got the duty to be on the roadblocks on the MCO thing, then you have to check. So it's not like, so nothing is ever black and white. We like it to be black and white because it makes life easier. But life is not that, it's not black and white. If you've lived long enough, and I think most of you have, you realize that it's not black and white. There's no single rule or formula on how to live your life, apart from being kind and having a sense of ethics and helping others. But from our internal aspect, so try not to judge how you feel internally, what your thoughts are like, your emotions. Really see. If you stop doing that, you'll experience that they appear. They may not be pleasant, or they may be very pleasant. And actually, the pleasant ones are the more challenging because you tend to want to continue with them. And then they will go away. So I hope that in this next section of the short meditation, you will experience some of that. This arising and falling away of thoughts, emotions, sensations. Okay, that's impermanence. Nothing ever stays. And if we realize that and we accept that and we're comfortable with that, then we experience less suffering because we don't have so much attachment to whatever comes or goes. Okay, and at the end of the day, none of us is going to get out of this alive. Which is what I'm saying, that our life has a certain end date. So we might as well make the most of it while we're here. And meditation helps us to do that. Okay, so let's start meditation. So I'd like to invite you all to adjust your posture so you're sitting comfortably, upright, relaxed, upright position, not tight. You can close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. If you prefer to keep your eyes open, then open them slightly and gaze down at the table, at the ground, with a soft focus. The next few breaths, allow yourself to relax into the sitting. Or you're sitting on a chair, on the floor, or even lying down. Just feel your body sitting or lying down. Begin to notice the sensation of breathing. We are breathing all the time, 24 hours a day, maybe 16 to 20 cycles a minute, but usually we don't notice it. So see if you can bring your attention, your awareness to the sensation, the feeling of breathing. When I say this, I don't mean think about how you should feel, but actually how it really does feel. So if you notice your breath at your nostrils, you will notice the feeling of the flow of air in and out, maybe slight vibration. If you're more aware of your breath in your lower belly or your lungs, you'll feel the physical movement, the rising and falling as you breathe in and out. So see if you can allow your awareness to rest on that. So tonight's meditation, we're going to emphasize just doing it, which we are doing, and not checking, which means letting go of any expectations, any ideas about how meditation should be or should not be, how it should feel or should not feel. So we're not trying to get to some state of mind, state of peace or bliss. It's just experiencing the present moment for what it is. Your breath, so see if you can do that. And whenever your mind wanders off, and it will many times, realize that that's okay. That is completely normal and happens to everyone. When you notice, then gently let go of whatever thoughts or emotions that you are involved in, and gently come back to your breath again. And again, no judgment, no harsh criticism, just starting over again. So let's see if we can do that for the next few minutes. That's the just doing it part. Resting your awareness of the sensation of breathing. How does it feel? Just feel your breath. So allow yourself to relax into the practice. Sometimes we tend to lean forward into the practice, always thinking about the next breath. The next breath, and can I pay attention or be aware of it? See if I think of it as just being with one breath, just being aware of one breath, and that's all you have to do. And once you're aware of that breath, then one more breath, but it's always the one breath. You don't have to think about the next breath or even about the breath that you've taken before. So it's just this one breath. You can sometimes check your physical posture. Relaxed but alert. Upright but not tight. You find yourself slumping over or leaning over to one side, then just make a slight adjustment to bring yourself back to the central position. There's no need to force your breath. Just breathe naturally. Allow your body to breathe itself. So taking your time, start to open your eyes and begin to be aware and mindful of the things in the room or your surroundings. You move your hands or stretch your arms and legs as you need to. And thank you for your practice.
Thank you, Myong and Sunim, for a very good guided meditation session. There's a question here, Sunim, from Rosemary. How do we deal with the noise that's happening at our surrounding? For example, happen at your side there, the barkings of the dogs.
Say thank you.
Okay.
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 Because you actually, if you hear the sounds, you're alive. For a start, that's number one. And sounds are just sounds, okay. But when we make a story about them, this is a nice sound, and this is not a sound I want. I want maybe when we do meditation, we want, oh, there has been no sound. I don't want any disturbances. So we try to create this situation for ourselves where we don't have any sort of external stimulation, and we maybe have a darker room and all that. That's okay. I mean, for when you start, maybe that's helpful because then your mind doesn't get so distracted. But when you've been practicing for some time, then if you still need to have that kind of situation before you think you can actually practice, then that is actually a hindrance for you. Because meditation is really about just paying attention in the moment, okay? Moment to moment. The intention to pay attention. So you can't always have perfect situation, however you want it. But you can pay attention at any time. Okay, you can be aware at any time. So if you can see, like that's aspect of that's why we there's a sound meditation where you listen for sounds and see that your mind actually makes stories about sounds. Like you hear a motorbike or you hear a neighbor talking loudly, you think, oh, maybe they're having a quarrel. You know what's going on, then your mind just goes there to the sound. And then you hear a nice bird singing, then you think, oh, that's so beautiful. Nature is so wonderful, you know? So we always make stories, but that is just our story. So when we hear like ambulance siren or whatever, think, oh, that's so noisy. But actually, people, if you look back at some of the old stories, some of these old masters got enlightenment by hearing some strange sound, like the sound of a cock crowing or the sound of a stone hitting one of the bamboo, whatever bamboo plants or something like that. So they heard this, and then it just woke them up. So actually, sound is very helpful for us. If we don't attach a story about whether we like it or we don't like it, we just hear it just as a sound. It's not easy to do, I admit, to begin. So when you're starting off, then maybe find a quieter place or just use some earplugs. You know, there's so many like noise cancelling stuff around these days. So you can have, even if you live in a fairly noisy apartment, you can really tune the sound down, or you can find this like the special earplugs that cut out a lot of the noise. So, but then that's just to help you get started. But just to realize that sound, sight, smell, taste, touch, they're all our senses. And if we're aware of them without making some story about them, they all help us. But if we get stuck on them, then they become a hindrance for us. That's all. So,
Yep. Thank you, Sunim, for your answer. There's another question also from Rosemary. For Zen meditation, Sunim, sounds like there's no object to focus on, unlike some sort of vipassana meditation, where one should focus on the rising and falling of your breath or on the stomach there. So, is it a real? Is this the real difference between Zen and vipassana?
well, actually, we were actually being aware of our breath, the rising and falling. I said, you know, if you notice it at your lower belly, then you're aware of the rising, the movement of the lower belly, the rising and falling.
Mm.
So, or if you want to, you know, follow the breath at your nostrils, then you notice the sensation of the air going in and out. So that's the object of meditation. So there is objectless meditation also, which is another form of practice. But usually it's, I think, more helpful to have an object of meditation, something that you can come back to. So the breath is it. You notice the movement of the breath, the sense, how it feels to breathe. Whether you feel it at your chest or you feel it at your lower belly, you know, there's no wrong way of doing it. It's just different techniques. So whichever that you feel most comfortable with. So if you like the lower belly, then follow that. If you like the nostrils, follow that. Okay. So it really is how you practice. But the important thing is to do it. Just do it. Yeah. That's our practice that just do it, don't check. So whatever you're doing, just do it. And that's all. So if you keep doing, you'll start to, this was like. But if you're thinking, is this right? Is this vipassana? Or is this anapanasati? Or is this Zen? Then your mind is like checking, comparing, judging. And then you're caught in this realm of, is this good for me? It's about me. It's me, good for me or not good for me? What is it, So if you let go of that and just uh, sink into the practice, just allow yourself to settle into the practice, then you figure out, this works for me or this doesn't work for me. If it doesn't work for you, try something else. But do it for some time first before jumping around. Sometimes people jump around too quickly. But try it for some time. Then, that's what it is. That's all.
Thank you, Sunim. And the second
Sure.
question also from Ting Ying. When you mentioned that we come back to the breath again, do we observe the in and out of the breath, or we just know that we are breathing?
You feel it. What's observing? What does observing mean?
Mm.
Okay. So when I say be aware of your breath, I'm not, it's not about, how does my breath feel? Is it this or that? Just feel it. Just like, okay, somebody takes a needle, okay, and pokes you on the hand. How does that feel? I poke you, what do you say?
Ah, pain.
Yeah, exactly. Ow. Okay.
Mm, mm,
So feeling our breath is like that. You just feel it. You can feel the sensation that the lower belly expands and it gets a bit tight, you know. And then when you breathe out, it relaxes. Then it goes down again. Then you breathe in, and it gets a little tighter. That's all. So that is feeling your breath, sensing your breath, not kind of standing back and observing it like you're a third person. Then you lose your connection. But you completely connect with your breath. There is no separation. Okay.
So, in other words, just do it, don't check, can also mean just be with whatever happening around you
It is.
and
That's what
in
it
you.
is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Just do it. So many people, in Taoism, they have this phrase called "wu wei, wu wei, wu wei," or
Way.
whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
effortless,
Many people
effortless.
think like, that means doing nothing. Okay, but
Mm,
it's not.
mm,
Wu wei
mm,
really means just do it. That means whatever you're doing, just
mm,
completely become one with whatever you're doing, or just do it, as
mm, mm.
as Zen Master Sun San likes to say. So, wu wei really means just do it, and just do it is wu wei.
Okay, thank you. Very wonderful. And
Okay.
next question from Hans. Good afternoon, Venerable Sunim. Just wondering, sometimes even when we know that it's the right thing to do, we get blocked by our fear of failure and judgment from other people. So, how to just do it without any doubt?
Uh, fear is not something that we want to get rid of or kind of to avoid, because sometimes that just comes up in our normal life then, and sometimes it's actually adaptive. Adaptive meaning it's helpful. But if it becomes too overwhelming, then it's non-adaptive. So actually facing whatever we are afraid of can be very helpful. So I don't know if I've told this story about this Pema Chodron, who's this really fantastic Tibetan nun. She lives in Canada now, and she's the teacher at I think in Nova Scotia or some British Columbia or somewhere like that. And she tells this story of when she was young, her best friend was, like 10 years old or something, telling her about she was having nightmares every night about monsters chasing her. And she was terrified. They would chase her down this long corridor, and then she would wake up screaming in fear. So Pema Chodron at that time asked a very, very innocent question that children ask. What do they look like? And then her friend, I don't know, never had, I was too scared. I was just always running. So then the friend had this idea, I really don't. And next time I want to see what they look like. So the next time she had this nightmare, she took her a lot of courage, but in her nightmare, in her dream, she managed to back herself up against the wall and turn and face these monsters. And then they were running towards her, and it was scary. Then, as they got to about 3 feet or 1 meter away, they stopped. They didn't come any closer, and they just were jumping up and down. Then when she saw them, she saw, oh, they just look like two-dimensional animation, two-dimensional comic creatures. And then they had this like funny, strange faces. Like one had like a bear's head, but 4 eyes, and another had claws, but they were like hands, but they had claws or whatever. And they didn't look so scary after all. They were like this cartoon figures, and they were just jumping up and down in front of her. Didn't come any closer. Then as she continued to look at them, they started to fade away, like dissolve, and then no more, disappeared completely. And then she was not scared anymore. And from that night onwards, she had no more nightmares, not of that type anyway. So our fear of failure is actually, or how people judge us, is about it's what we carry inside. We think, oh, they're going to judge me. When in fact, maybe they're not even. They're not even thinking about you in any way. But we carry this thing with us. And yeah, it happens to a lot of us. But one of the practices that we can do is to actually feel how this fear of failure feels in the body. That means we use our physical body to feel the sensation of fear. And that is actually a very helpful, very valid form of practice to help you deal with anxiety or fear. Okay, so if you start to do that, of course, don't choose your biggest fear or failure. Just choose something that is relatively simple. Then you start to feel, oh, this is what fear feels like in my body. Maybe your chest gets tight, or your stomach starts to like churn, or your whole body starts to tense up. Yeah, it's different for many people, but how does it feel in your body? And when you become more aware of your body and how that fear feels, after a while, it will go away. So there is this Harvard doctor. God, I can't remember her name right now. But she had a stroke,
Yeah.
My stroke of insight.
Yeah.
Okay. And then she recovered, but, she completely lost the function of one part of the brain, the left side.
Mm.
But anyway, in part of her research that she did, she found out from her research that emotions, whatever emotions that we feel, fear, anger, sadness, whatever it is, it triggers the release of certain chemicals in the body, hormones. And those hormones will flush out of your body in 90 seconds. Okay? So if you suddenly get very angry, and then you breathe, and you become aware of your anger, you can see it just goes in 90 seconds. Okay? But if you trigger the anger again, then you trigger another release of this, and then you feel angry. You keep on feeling angry. So it repeats the cycle. So fear is also the same. So when you're scared, then something happens. Maybe adrenaline gets gets released because you either have to fight or run or whatever. But if you just look at it, if you just become aware and mindful of it, it will just 90 seconds is all it takes. It will go. But if you trigger it again in your mind, then it'll release the fear thing. So that's the other thing to realize is that all our emotions, all our physical sensations, all our mental events, the thinking that they will come and go, they're impermanent. That's the nature of everything. So if we don't cling to them and think, I should not be scared. Why am I so? When you do that, you're actually reactivating the fear circuit. So the point is to breathe, for one, and to feel how it feels in your body. Then bring your attention to the physical sensation of the emotion. We call that dropping into the body. Your body is very, very helpful, because it's always present. So we can always use it in any situation. We can always call on it. Our mind is like goes anywhere, but our body is always here. So if you're more, any time that you're aware of your body, you become more grounded. Your mind becomes more stable. Okay?
And don't resist any biological response also in the body. Just be with that.
Right? Just be with it. Yeah. I mean, it's not easy. That's why you have to start with small steps. Don't choose. If you want to run a marathon, you don't go out and run a marathon. You train, like do 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers. Then you. Then
Is it helpful if we listen to the song? Let it be.
I don't know. Maybe it can. Different things work for different people. But the important thing is to realize, use your breath and your body to help you come back to the moment.
Here now.
Okay.
And okay. The next question. Hi, Venerable. This is from Kiet. While just doing it, how should one deal with the intellectual mind, which may constantly investigate or think? I think this also happened while we're in the era or time of pandemic. We need to check how many people got the COVID-19 today and how many deaths and all this thing. We are constantly in worries and fear. Yeah, Sunim. So how do we deal with that?
So first of all, let's agree that thinking is not a bad thing. It's not good or bad. It doesn't have a concrete kind of quality. Like there was one time when I was started practicing, somebody wrote on the wall, small A4 piece, Dharma practitioners don't think. And I thought, oh, I mustn't think. But actually, thinking when it's necessary can be very helpful. But when we get caught up into unhelpful thinking, then it causes a lot of unsatisfactoriness for us, okay? So when you're having to check or think about certain situation, and that is actually a helpful thing, useful thing, then do it. That's just do it thinking.
So when you think, just think.
When you think, just think, but don't attach to your thinking. Okay? Just like that guy who was swinging this sledgehammer, he had this idea, just do it, I don't care who's on the other side, doesn't really matter, I just do it. But then that has no wisdom, has no cognition. Okay? So having our wisdom is very important. We have to have some wisdom. So when we have to use our mind to think, our brain is just an organ, just like our eyes, just like our ears, our nose, our mouth, our tongue. We use them to function, to live in this world. So you never say to yourself, oh, you must stop seeing. Don't look at that unpleasant thing. Maybe you see some accident. Don't look at it. Close your eyes, keep driving, crash.
Mm.
You know?
Mm.
So everything has its function. Thinking has a function, seeing has a function, hearing has a function, smelling, everything. Sensation has a function. But how do you use it? What is your, we say, direction? Okay. So if your direction is clear, then all these things you can use it in service of that direction, which mean in Dharma terms, in Buddhism terms, it's helping others and helping this world and living a meaningful life. Okay, so you can use all of this. So thinking clearly, just thinking clearly, just do it thinking is very useful. But when you get caught up in this unhelpful thoughts, like maybe if you start to think about how depressed you are or whatever, that can lead to a negative spiral, and that's not helpful. So you've got to be aware of what it is. So again, that is our wisdom, our cognition. Okay.
Thank you, Sunim. It's a wonderful way to conclude our session today. So
Okay.
before we ask Sunim to conclude the session with a dedication prayer, any message from you, Sunim, for all the people out there during this pandemic time, especially on this special day of Mother's Day?
Okay. So some of us will probably feel there are many different reactions to the situation. Some people will feel fearful. Some people think, I don't care. Some people somewhere in between. So let's just realize that if you feel anxious or a little fearful, that's normal. Because these are not normal times, because you can go out and pick up the virus. So if you're feeling a little tense and a little like I don't want to stand too close, or that person is coming too close, or that person is not wearing a mask, that's normal. So don't try to reject that, because that's the way that we are actually, our body and mind telling us how to protect ourselves. So sometimes feeling fearful and anxious is normal. But if you feel too anxious and too fearful to the point where you're frozen, then that's not very helpful. So we have to learn some techniques on how to cope with that. And you can check it out on there are many sort of teachers who help you with dealing with anxiety and kind of fear, meditation for fear. So I think I already said about Mother's Day, Today is just Mother's Day, but actually every day is Mother's Day. Every day is Father's Day, because they're the two people who actually gave us the support, fed us, housed us, educated us, and allowed ourselves to be where we are today. So it's not. I mean, we do make a special thing on Father's Day, Mother's Day, but actually every day is. So if we have that kind of mind to it, then we can really appreciate and be grateful for not just our parents, but all those people, our teachers, whoever, everybody who's helped us along the way, so that we've come this far. You've come this far. You've actually done a good job. So don't beat yourself up. Okay.
Thank you, Sunim.
Sure.
So please, may Sunim, please guide us to do the dedication. As you
Okay.
say, there's every day is Mother's Day, and there's no ordinary moments, and all sentient beings are our mothers and fathers. So may all sentient beings be well and happy.
Yes, of course.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Sunim. Yep.
Okay. So we just normally do it. We recite the 4 great vows.
Yep.
Right. So could you please put your palms together? Sentient beings are numberless. We vow to save them all. Delusions are endless. We vow to cut through them all. The teachings are infinite. We vow to learn them all. The Buddha way is inconceivable. We vow to attain. So may all beings be well and happy and safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunim. You please be safe and well as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So everybody too, take care.
Yep. Take care. Thank you. Good night,
Okay.
everybody. Thank you, Sunim, for your
Okay.
good
Good
teachings
night.
and meditation. Good night.
Sure. Good night.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.